Hello, what is up, folks? So this is a little photo comparison I made between one of the books of two ways. I think it's like B5C, or I forget which version, but it's basically the newer, I believe they call it the shorter version of the book of two ways, the later version. So that's on the left, and then on the right is just like a satellite map. So, it shows shows this Kamchatka Peninsula, and it seems that these three little birds are the Kamchatka Peninsula, and this worm with a bunch of dots in it represents the islands that kind of protrude from the tip of Kamchatka there and connects with, or maybe are, the Kuril Islands of Japan. And then, let's see, I'm just trying to, I don't have all the like gizmos and tricks of the trade of making these type of videos, but, where I can just pop up a photo on my screen or whatever and talk about it. But I'm sure if society wanted us to be doing that, it would make it more easy for randoms like me to do it. But I can do this at least. So you can see here the little islands. There's like one long island, and then there's first a little island, which you can't really see here, then a long island, then a bunch of little islands. So that fits with here, where there's like first a one white dot, then a long white line, and then a series of white dots. So that's accurate. I'm not sure if these are called the Kuril Islands. I think these are called the Kuril Islands. I'm not sure if these are included in that as well, but they're part of the same island chain. But these ones are part of the Japan one. So the Japan one is this rabbit. The hind legs are Sakhalin Island, the Russian island here, which is geographically, geologically part of the Japanese archipelago. And then Hokkaido here, the northernmost Japanese island, politically Japanese, is the pelvis, basically, of the rabbit. Honshu, the main island, the big island of Japan, is the torso. And then here, this island on the end is Kyushu, I think. And Kyushu is the head of the rabbit, or whatever animal this is. And then Shikoku, I believe this is, this little skinny island here, is the ears. And these Kuril Islands are the tail. So I don't know the names of all those islands, but then here in the green circle is the Korean Peninsula, which seems to be this. I mean, this is a bit hypothetical, all of this, but it's matching up pretty damn good. So I'm definitely leaning towards most of this being accurate. I don't know. It's hard to be fully sure about this as much as I'm sure about the American counterparts. But anyway, so it seems that the three birds together represent peninsulas. So the big one is the big peninsula, Kamchatka. The smaller one, it's about half the size, is the Korean Peninsula, which is still a big peninsula, but it's like half the size of Kamchatka. This down here is the Indochina and the Indochina Peninsula. So I'm thinking that this gate down here is basically the bulk of Indochina here. And then this kind of tail looking thing on the bottom is this peninsula. And, you know, it has a kind of little peninsula going one way, and then a big, you know, right there, and then a big one coming down to the right. So, and then, you know, there's more further down. There's a bunch of other gatekeepers further down on this Book of Two Ways, which I have not yet fully identified. I think some of them may be they may be the, like this one here, maybe this may be the Horn of Africa, and this may be the Arabian coast of the Red Sea. But not fully sure there. I guess I think that's the end of that photo. You know, this is America down here. This is Alaska right here. So that's why I'm thinking Siberia would be right across from Alaska. And some of the text that's in here, 1132, the spells there are similar to the spells over here. So it suggests that it's a northern region because it calls it the Gateway of Fire with hidden back. And this one is also the Gateway of Fire. It's like fire was associated with the north. Fire and darkness were both associated with the north, and it has to do with, I think, solar cosmology, like solar symbolism. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I think I skipped a whole ass one in this. Well, I'll just do it in this one. Like this in the yellow. So there's this long skinny gatekeeper. So I'm thinking it might be this peninsula. That's the best candidate I have so far. Although there's also a little peninsula opposite it, which I suppose it could be, but good chance it's one or the other, or maybe this thing, but it doesn't have the shape of this really. So let's see, this is the oldest map, the Hierakonpolis 5,500-year-old Egyptian map of America. And this also has, like, this is Kamchatka here. This is Korea. And for Japan, they just have a series of ibexes. So in this ancient system, ibexes symbolize islands. And then you have China here, the unmistakable rounded bump of China. And then this is whatever that is, Singapore or something down here, I don't know. And this is either this or maybe this is Taiwan. I'm guessing this thing here is Taiwan. And then this is Africa, West Africa, Southern Africa. And this is like a little bay that's in Siberia near Alaska. And so it's just this part in between here that they seem to have stretched out, because actually this bay is right next to Kamchatka. So I think just to fit everything, they somehow stretched all this out. But let me see if what this one has. I guess this, oh yeah, this still just has to there. This is interesting. I wonder if this is meant to be something, this shape right here. If it is, it would be potentially Vancouver Island or somehow, or the Olympic Peninsula, because that's the gatekeeper in this area, more or less. Or, I mean, it would maybe technically be a little further south. So these ones, this one I'm thinking is, so this is presumably the furthest west Afro-Eurasian ones, because this is just further down from those other ones. So I'm thinking this probably the Britain, because all the gatekeepers are islands or peninsulas that abut the coast, that nearly touch the coast or do touch the coast, and therefore impede coastal navigation. So I'm thinking this is Britain, and all these little things are all the little islands of Britain, like Shetland and Orkney and the Hebrides and the Isle of Man and all those type of things. Rathlin. And these two are described as the two guardians of the earth gods. So I'm thinking that this is, man, I should have a map to actually show this stuff, but let me get some of this stuff out of here. Amazing. Cannot do anything on this. All right, whatever, go away. Well, so this shows like the older version of the Book of Two Ways. This is the east coast of America. This is the west coast. This is Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, US, Canada. And this is the newer version, the later version, which seems to me to be a diagram also. It's both a map of America and a diagram to build a craft, to build like a boat or maybe a flying craft. I don't know. But so this is where it has, it has your American gatekeepers here, these little guys. This is like, wow, this camera really fucking sucks ass. Anyway, this thing right here is Baffin Island. So if you can see how, these kind of look small, but these are huge because they're bigger than every single gatekeeper in America. So it shows that, this Kamchatka, Japan, Japanese archipelago, and probably whatever this is, the Horn of Africa, and probably this bull, and I don't know about this little guy. But anyway, so a bunch of these are bigger than any gatekeeper in America, which makes sense because the Japanese archipelago, it stretches like pretty far, north to south, and much further than anything here. I mean, I think the closest would maybe be Baja California, which, I mean, technically, actually, this kind of makes this whole entire thing Baja California, which is erroneous. So actually on this map, you could technically say Baja is the biggest gatekeeper, but really Japanese archipelago was the biggest gatekeeper in the world, seemingly followed by Kamchatka Peninsula. And then maybe the Horn of Africa. but so this is the one for the furthest right one, which I'm thinking might be Britain. And I'm just going to try to get rid of that. And I guess I'll get rid of this too if y'all are got a good gander. And oh, I can't even get rid of this with the F. All right, whatever. Move it out of the way. So for this one, it's for this is 1145. So I'm thinking this is Britain. Maybe its pointy butt is the might be southeastern Britain, southeast England, which points out. I don't know. Or is it southwest England? I think it's southeastern England that points out. So it says, you know, the protectors whom he knows, the warrior who guards him in the midst of his shrine. O gray-haired one who hears the sistrum player. So the sistrum player is probably Hathor, the goddess Hathor. And often she's associated with the south, but maybe she can be in the north as well. Something celestial. Not sure what star or constellation she is exactly. But this idea of calling, if this is Britain, calling Britain the gray-haired one would make perfect sense because of the White Cliffs of Dover. And I think a lot of ancient underworld traditions from around the world talked about passing the White Island on the way to the underworld, and that often may have referred to Britain. So, yada yada, those whose names are unknown. So that's probably all the little islands of Britain, because it's not like all of their names are known or their locations or shapes or sizes are known. So they present a hazard. So yeah, I don't understand why I have two of these. There again is Kamchatka with those islands. I had a whole ass map here open that I was using as a, oh, I guess this. All right, so there's Britain. So yeah, it's southeastern Britain that points out far. So that could be that. And I'm not sure you can really see on here, but yeah, you can't really see here. But these, like at the mouth of the Mediterranean, or I guess it's the mouth here, where the Mediterranean meets the Atlantic, on the north and south sides, north and south shores of this strait, basically the Strait of Gibraltar, are little peninsulas that stick out. One is the called the Rock of Gibraltar on this side. The other one is part of Morocco, and I forget what it's called, or if I even knew what it's called, but at least I knew the name of this region, which I forget. This region of Morocco. But anyway, they more or less look like these. Like this is probably the Gibraltar, and then this is probably its Moroccan counterpart. This I'm not really sure. I suspect this may be the Greek peninsula, and this may be the kind of large island of southern Greece, and then this may be the part of Europe that almost touches Turkey. Like the tip of this might be kind of like the European side of Istanbul, but I'm not totally sure about that one. So anyway, there's some more, but those are my thoughts on that. And so I also wanted to, if my phone lets me, just show this book. Like I got the it's the Egyptian Amduat, Book of the Hidden Chamber. So it's Jungians that translated it. So chances are some of them just might think it's like, or if they're anything like the idiot Jungians on the internet, they might think it's all just psychological and not realize that this is all advanced science. But anyway, I was just noticing, like I think all these books, all these ancient Egyptian books are songbooks, they're meant to be sung and accompanied by music, and they rhymed for the most part. So, this, I was just noticing some of the rhymes in here. This shows like the planets and the stars and everything represented as gods. It's like, people like look at this and they're like, oh, look, they were doing human sacrifice. No, this is extremely advanced, like symbolism for the cycles of the stars. And some fucking idiot just looked at it and was like, oh, look, human sacrifice. I fucking really hate like modern society. Anyway, so I'm trying to find where where the fuck this is. This might actually be referring to Japan. Like, I mean, I guess it's possible even that these snakeheads represent Japan, because it's calling it many-faced, which is basically the name that the other book calls Japan, or it calls the numerous faces, because of the numerous islands all included as one god. It's like even here, like Achu ten enten Achu. Like everything kind of rhymes. Hetipu neter ten neten hetip ten. So there's always repeating the same sounds, and like here, Jehudi is Toth. I have no fucking idea who decided to call him Toth. I really, yeah, modern quote unquote science is the dumbest shit that was ever created on Earth. Like these people, they're like, oh, look, Jehudi, let's call him Toth. Anyway, so Jehudi Hunti Nibbed Jehudi. So it's like, that means Toth, and that means supposedly the underworld. Duat Jehudi. So it's basically, it's very rhymey. Jehudi Hunti Nibbed Jehudi. It's always repeating the same sounds. Um, anyway, I saw a good rhyme, but I don't know where the heck it went. It was very blatant that in a lot of these, it's very blatant that they use specific words so they can make sure it rhymes. Oh, there. Okay, so yeah, here. May you be mighty, Sachem, by your scepters, Sachemu. So it's saying like, Sachem enten Sachemuten. Sacramenten, Sacramuten. So all this rhymes. Like these are all, it's like abracadabra. Real spells rhyme. And they're not just chanted per se, but like sung. I mean, I don't know what chanting means really. Chanting can mean anything. But there's like monotone chanting and then there's singing, in my opinion. And I think all of this was sung. All of this was accompanied by music. Here's another one. May you be powerful, Weser, by your necks, Weseru. So it's obvious these are meant to rhyme. It's obvious these are songs. Just like the Nordic hell songs, hell spells, or spell songs that they would use to memorize the geography of America. All right, well, that's the main thing I wanted to show. Yeah. Anyway, I only got like 3 views on my last video, so I'm not really expecting much for this. I'm partly just doing this for my own self to record all this information, but hopefully somebody will watch it. But I can't really promise to make any more videos because it's just like pointless because there's no way to know if anybody will see it. But anyway, hope y'all are doing well. My face is like infected. My tooth or something is infected, so I'm like hoping I don't freaking die. I'm like on antibiotics, but anyway, that's such as the such. Oh, another thing I learned in here is that it seems that similar to Latin, like in Latin, the word for the west and the word for secret are the same word. Occult, like occult is from, oculus or ox, whatever is the word for the Latin root for west, and or whatever, they're the same word basically. And that's the same in Egyptian. In Egyptian, the underworld is called Amentet, which means the west, but Amentet also means hidden and secret. So because the sun disappears and hides itself behind the western horizon, Egyptians and Latins use the same word for both, for hiding something and for the western direction. So, that's a fact that is not known. I've never seen anybody say that. But if you read this book, it's clearly obvious because they use the same word for both, just like the Latins do. Just like the Latins use occult, the Egyptians use Amentet. So, such is the such, and take care, everybody. Have a good one.